What do you think of the new zone blocking scheme? Are we getting any sense of what it might look like?
Yeah, I mean, I keep going back to what Mike Shanahan had in Denver in the 90s. And I really think that that's what the sort of thing they want to replicate, which is having your offensive linemen on running plays kind of going horizontal to the line of scrimmage, like Zimmer talked about other defenses doing. But in this case, you're trying to create seams for the running back to make a cutback. And, perhaps with all that movement, in Zimmer's opinion, a defender might get tripped up or get out of position, and that could create a bigger hole. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see. The one thing that I thought was ironic was when he was talking about this, outside zone that Kubiak is going to help Stefanski create. He talked about defensive players hate to get their legs cut out from under them. And it sounds like, that's going to be some of what the Vikings are going to be looking to do. If an offensive lineman doesn't have the angle that he needs to kind of straight up block a defender, then he might have to, dive and try to take out his feet. And, if it's like that, I could see Zimmer, if that happened to his defenders, getting really irritated with that sort of play. So, it's a fine line that they're going to have to work with that outside zone scheme. But I do think it'll fit really nicely with Dalvin Cook's skill set.
So with Josh Klein in place, it sounds like, they have one guard and they have one tackle they could move to guard. So I guess if there's a silver lining to the offensive line problems that they're facing right now, it's at least they have flexible parts and they could probably draft either a guard or a center. I mean, a guard or a tackle.
Right. And that's essentially what Zimmer said. Klein looks like he's going to be plugged in at right guard. Beyond that, I would think that Pat Elflein is going to stay at center unless, there's Garrett Bradbury in the draft, who I don't know that the Vikings would want to take a center in the first round, but if a guy like him is still there, or maybe another high quality center in the second round, you might take him and consider moving Elflein to left guard. But Zimmer also admitted that, although Brian O'Neill played really well at right tackle, he thinks he's got the ability to play left tackle.
So that'd be big for this team if he could play left.
Yeah, for sure. And in that case, okay, under that scenario, then you are drafting a tackle, who you think is probably not quite quick enough to step in with his feet and play left tackle. So O'Neill slides to left tackle, and then Riley Reif goes to left guard. And all of a sudden you have a pretty big guard in there along with Josh Klein. And I'm not 100% sure if Reif is fast enough to get out and pull and do the things that they might want to do in this scheme. But they're just kind of having any option open to them when it comes to the offensive line. And, I would also throw this out there. That doesn't necessarily mean that their first round pick is going to be an offensive lineman. I could see them picking a 3-technique guy if he fell to him, like Ed Oliver from Houston. I could see them picking him in the first round. And then, there are quite a few well-regarded offensive linemen, whether you're talking guard or tackle in this draft. And then you have your second round pick to go that route. More often than not, I think you'll probably end up with more high quality guards that are available in the second round than tackles. But they've just got a lot of options now. I think that they're confident that Josh Klein is going to be their starter at right guard. So now they just kind of need to fill one position on that offensive line, and it doesn't necessarily matter which position that is, tackle, guard, or center.
We have a deal with Bite Squad. First delivery fee waived with the promo code TALKNORTH. But we have an ongoing relationship with Bite Squad, and we're kind of celebrating the opening of baseball season this week. So this is just a good week to whether it's because you like Bite Squad, whether it's because you like local restaurants and want to have something delivered to your place, whether it's because you like Talk North and want to support our network as we survive and grow here. Check out Bite Squad. Go to bitesquad.com, download the Bite Squad app, and even if you've already used the Talk North promotion and aren't going to get your next delivery free wave, it's still a great deal. You can also sign up for the membership program, get unlimited deliveries from restaurants within a 4-mile radius for just $5.99 a month. And in Minneapolis, I travel everywhere. Minneapolis has as many good restaurants, if not more, as any place else. As many good pizza places as any place else. And they're all pretty close, and you can get it all delivered to your door. Come out just like a waiter or waitress just walked it to your table. You can do it at your office for lunch. You can do it because you don't feel like doing dishes. Do it because you don't feel like driving. You don't feel like parking. You don't feel like waiting in line. You don't want to fight for reservations. You can have food brought to you. Make your life simple. I do it all the time. BiteSquad.com, Bite Squad app. And again, the promo code for your first delivery fee waived is Talk North. Also interesting, Tim, that Zimmer admitted they probably don't need a lot more weapons on offense. I think if you're cynical, you say it's because he wants to draft all defensive players. But I actually agree with him. I don't think they need more. I don't think they need more offensive weapons. They need more time to get the ball to the offensive weapons.
I completely agree. I mean, yeah, they could use some late round pick on, maybe a tight end that's a little faster than Kyle Rudolph. But for people that have been promoting the idea of they have to get a tight end early in the draft, or they have to get a number 3 receiver, I would say, they have 2 pretty good tight ends already in David Morgan and Kyle Rudolph. And, I think they have a lot of options with their receiving core already. Adam Thielen can and has done a lot of damage as a slot receiver. If they have an outside receiver, Laquan Treadwell is basically in a position where, he steps up or he's not going to be around another year. And then, we saw, I thought, some glimpses, especially in practices, of what Chad Beebe might be able to become as a slot receiver, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And so you have concerns about that, but they don't need to draft a tight end or slot receiver or third receiver in the first 3 rounds. Now, that said, if they end up with a TJ Hawkinson or George Fant as a tight end, just because it's great value at their pick, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't think that it's as crucial as a lot of fans have made it out to be in the past month or so.
No, I agree with that completely. Who's going to be the backup quarterback?
Good question. I thought it was interesting that Zimmer said they could end up with a rookie as their third quarterback, but his preference is to have a veteran as the backup. And I get the feeling that they aren't quite convinced that Kyle Sloter is ready to take over the number 2 role. Sean Mannion is coming in, but honestly, I don't know that he's going to give you a big upgrade over what Sloter is. So, they may end up signing him. If they do, it's definitely going to be on the cheap. They only have about $2.5 million under the salary cap. So I just don't see it as a position where if you're going to end up relying on either Kyle Sloter, Sean Mannion, or some other low-level number 2 guy, you're probably not going to be able to survive if say Kirk Cousins is out for an extended period of time, 5-6 games. It's, to me, it's just pretty simple that it's got to be Cousins leading this team to the playoffs.
Let's get into the Kubiak angle here, because it's fascinating to hear Zimmer talk about him in conjunction with Stefanski in this offense. We do want to thank Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent, works out of Champlin, but you can work with him wherever you are. I've only been to Champlin a couple of times, or only been to his office a couple of times, and I work with him. He also provides financial services as well as car insurance, which is what I use him for and what Michael Russo uses him for on the network.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
But Tim, and by the way, we also have on this network, we have the Jeff Diamond Show. Jeff Diamond's Vikings and NFL Insider from the former Vikings general manager, and he breaks all this down, with a different perspective, somebody who's been in the hot seat before. Tim obviously is a comprehensive reporter who brings you on-the-ground reporting every week. So it's really easy to praise people when they first arrive in the offseason before they've had anything go wrong. But man, Zimmer sounds thrilled to have Kubiak.
He, at some point, those two are going to have to get a room if he keeps praising him as much as he has. This is every single time Zimmer has a chance to talk about Kubiak, he just gushes. And he even admitted on Tuesday that he's not really in the defensive meeting rooms much. He is so in tune and wants to learn what Kubiak is talking about. We've talked in the past about how enamored he is with the history of a play going back to Bill Walsh, which, Kubiak comes from the Mike Shanahan, who came from the Bill Walsh. So it's this whole Bill Walsh tree. But on Tuesday, he was also talking about how much he loves the reasoning behind a play and how are we going to teach this? And, Zimmer is, he's a teacher at heart is what it comes down to. And I think he really enjoys seeing somebody with experience talk about, okay, here is how we have to present it to the players so they understand why we're doing it, why we're running that play, why we're doing it at that time, what that play might set up in the future. And that just seems to be what Zimmer loves about Kubiak. And then he also mentioned the fact of he likes the idea of how Kubiak has taught quarterbacks in the past and sort of started from a base foundation and just builds up till they have a really full knowledge of the offense. And, with Kirk Cousins playing under Kyle Shanahan in Washington, there is going to be some familiarity. So hopefully, Kirk can catch on quickly and take charge of the offense, which I don't feel really happened a bunch last year. You had a new quarterback, highly paid, a lot of expectations. And I never sensed this great, for lack of a better term, swagger about him or confidence about him that he was going to take over the offense. If he's got better familiarity with the plays, the playbook, the schemes, why things are being called, then I think it's really got to be on Cousins at this point. It's his second year. They're paying him a ton of money. And, he kind of needs to step up his game. He's had great stats, but he's got to learn how to operate at the right times with this offense, learn how to make the checks that are needed, and come away with wins. Because as Zimmer said back at the scouting combine, you can talk about all the stats, but they don't matter. The wins do, and they didn't win enough.
I just think he needs to yell at Thielen earlier in the season. That would have turned everything around.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah. Let's get to Zimmer on officiating. This is interesting stuff. Obviously, the NFL had their meetings and made some changes, contemplated other changes. What does Zimmer think?
Well, he is with you that he thinks full-time officiating would help, but he also said he doesn't think that's going to happen because just a bunch of union stuff, collective bargaining stuff, that he doesn't think it's going to happen where every official is full-time. But while he could be in favor of instant replay on things like pass interference, he was adamant that he doesn't want it to become a thing where the replay official goes back and he's looking at it frame by frame by frame. He wants to be more of a real-time review of the video. And, he brought up a play that the coaches watched and discussed before these different rules were passed, where